Mahākāśyapa and the secret of the Buddha's robe and bowl transmission. Around 2,600 years ago in northern India, the world was engulfed in philosophical debates, ritual sacrifices, and rigid caste divisions. Amid that climate, Prince Siddhartha Gautama left the palace, practiced 6 years of asceticism, and finally awakened to the ultimate truth beneath the Bodhi tree. He realized the 3 marks of existence: impermanence, suffering, and non-self. From that moment, the path was no longer mere doctrine, it became a science of the mind. His Dharma was likened to the first sunrise after a long night of ignorance. Yet, the Buddha neither founded a sect nor appointed a successor. He simply said, "Be a lamp unto yourselves. Take the Dharma as your teacher. Do not depend on anyone else." Among the thousands of disciples, there was one who did not merely hear the Dharma but lived it fully, Mahākāśyapa. Kāśyapa was born into a Brahmin family, endowed with extraordinary intelligence and great wealth. But he renounced everything when he realized that no amount of material comfort could bring true peace. He and his wife, ordained on the same day, met the Buddha and attained enlightenment the very moment they encountered him. From then on, Kāśyapa chose the ascetic path, the dhutta practices that purified body and mind. Wearing only patched robes, eating 1 meal a day, dwelling in forests and mountains, living unstained and without desire. The Buddha once told his disciples, "If you wish to see the reflection of the Tathagata after my passing, look at Kāśyapa, for he lives in the true spirit of the Tathagata." Kāśyapa did not preach much, yet his presence and virtue inspired deep reverence in all who met him. He was regarded as the disciple with the purest mind, the deepest concentration, and the greatest resolve to preserve the Dharma. The transmission of the robe and bowl, the entrustment of faith. When the Buddha was about to enter nirvana, he entrusted his robe and alms bowl to Mahākāśyapa. This detail is recorded in the Mahaparinirvana Sutra of the Mahayana tradition and in later Indian and Chinese lineages. The robe and bowl were not possessions, but symbols of the true Dharma. The robe represented discipline, purity, and the life of virtue. The bowl represented meditative stability, dwelling in stillness and equality. To transmit the robe and bowl was to transmit the seal of mind, the continuation of awakened wisdom. Thus, Mahākāśyapa was not only an arahant, he became the guardian of the path, the one standing between the turbulent world and the pure source of Dharma, ensuring its waters remained unpolluted. After the Buddha's passing, Mahākāśyapa realized the greatest danger came not from outside teachings, but from negligence within the community itself. He gathered 500 arahants in the 7-leaf cave and compiled the entirety of the scriptures and monastic code. From that moment, the Dharma was preserved and transmitted faithfully for over 2,500 years. When his task was complete, Mahākāśyapa withdrew into Mount Kukutapada and entered deep meditative absorption, not to hide himself, but to protect the energy of the Dharma in profound stillness, awaiting the time when the world would again have the conditions to rekindle that sacred lamp. Between 2 eras, when the true Dharma fades and the age of decline draws near, the Buddha taught, the Dharma will remain in this world for 5,000 years. When the hearts of beings turn away from the path, the Dharma will decline. According to the commentarial text and the Mahaparinirvana Sutra, after the Buddha's passing, the first 1,000 years are the era of the true Dharma, when people can still attain enlightenment. The next 1,000 years are the era of the imitated Dharma practices remain, but few realize the truth. The following 3,000 years are the age of degenerate Dharma, Mapo. Forms still exist, but the spirit is lost. The world gradually sank into fame, pleasure, conflict, and desire. The Dharma still existed, but became commercialized, was misunderstood, was used as a tool to accumulate power and prestige. In this growing darkness, the ascetic path of Mahākāśyapa remained the last pure stream, preserving the original essence of the Dharma. He was regarded as the final guardian of the Śākyamuni era. Maitreya, the Buddha of the future. According to the Kakavati Sutta of the Digha Nikaya, the Buddha taught, when the lifespan of humans increases to 80,000 years, the world will return to harmony and peace. At that time, the Bodhisattva Maitreya will descend, attain awakening beneath the Naga flower tree, and set the wheel of Dharma in motion. He is now dwelling in the Tusita heaven, where bodhisattvas await the right moment to descend for the liberation of beings. Maitreya is called the Buddha of loving kindness, for his mission will be to restore virtue and reignite compassion in a world exhausted by ignorance and strife. Mahākāśyapa and Maitreya, two ends of a single Dharma lineage. Mahayana scriptures such as the Lotus Sutra, Mahaparinirvana Sutra, and the Maitreya Upanishad teach that Mahākāśyapa is now in deep meditation within Mount Kukutapada, awaiting the descent of Maitreya, to whom he will hand over the robe and bowl of Śākyamuni. From a strictly historical perspective, there is no physical evidence for this. But in the spirit of the Dharma, this symbolizes the continuity of enlightened wisdom in the universe. Śākyamuni is the light of wisdom, the one who opens the path. Mahākāśyapa is the flame of discipline and meditative stability, the one who preserves the path. Maitreya is the water of compassion, the one who returns the path to humankind. They are not three separate individuals, but three phases of an unfolding collective awakening. Wisdom is born, discipline and concentration maintain it, compassion revives it. Historically, Mahākāśyapa is a real figure recorded in Nikaya, Agama, and acknowledged by both Theravada and Mahayana. Maitreya is clearly prophesied in the Pali Canon, not a later Mahayana invention. The transmission of the robe and bowl is a symbolic tradition expressing the unbroken flow of the Dharma despite the changing of eras. Thus, the realness is not in the physical objects, but in the stream of awakening, energy passed through pure minds. Mahākāśyapa stands as the bridge between two cosmic eras, between Śākyamuni and Maitreya, between past and future. After Mahākāśyapa, the Dharma does not disappear, it changes form. When Mahākāśyapa entered deep meditation in Mount Kukutapad, many might wonder, the keeper of the robe and bowl has withdrawn who now protects the Dharma? But even during his lifetime, the Buddha never entrusted the Dharma to any single person. He entrusted it to Shila, discipline, the life of purity, Samadhi, meditation, the calm abiding of mind, Prajna, wisdom, seeing reality as it truly is. After Mahākāśyapa withdrew into stillness, the transmission of Buddhism took a new form. From one guardian, it became a community of guardians. The remaining arahants, led by Ananda, Upali, and the monastic Sangha, continued to embody the living Dharma. Ananda guarded the teachings, remembering, chanting, and transmitting the Buddha's words. Upali guarded the discipline, preserving the monastic code. The others upheld meditation and wisdom living examples for future generations. As long as there were enlightened beings, the Dharma was preserved not by stone tablets or manuscripts, but by living lives that breathed, practiced, and radiated peace. The physical robe and bowl were left in legend, but the invisible robe, the energy of discipline, concentration, and wisdom, continues to flow through every generation of practitioners. The Dharma crosses borders, a lineage flowing through many lands. Centuries later, under the reign of King Ashoka, the Buddha's teaching was carried to distant regions. From India to Sri Lanka, Myanmar, and Thailand, it formed the Theravada tradition, preserving a spirit very close to Mahākāśyapa's simplicity, renunciation, and ascetic purity. There, the presence of Mahākāśyapa lived on through the simple saffron robe, the single daily meal, the forest-dwelling lifestyle, and the reverence for the monastic code as dearly as one's own life. Meanwhile, in the north, the Dharma traveled through China, Tibet, Japan, Vietnam, developing into the Mahayana tradition, expanding the Bodhisattva ideal, emphasizing compassion and wisdom, integrating Dharma into daily life, culture, arts, meditation, poetry, tea, and calligraphy. Despite their differing forms, the lineage retained three essential pillars: Śākyamuni's right understanding, Mahākāśyapa's purity, Maitreya's compassion, Zen Buddhism, and the mind-sealed transmission of the robe and bowl. Later, Zen, Chan, Buddhism emerged, using symbolic language to express transmission. The flower sermon, the assembly at Vulture Peak. The Buddha held up a flower. The entire assembly remained silent. Only Mahākāśyapa smiled. The Buddha said, "I possess the treasury of the true Dharma I. Now I transmit it to Mahākāśyapa." Although this episode does not appear in the Pali scriptures, it embodies the spirit Zen wished to highlight. The true Dharma cannot be fully contained in words. The one who understands the Buddha is not the one who speaks much, but the one who shares the same state of mind as the Buddha. Thus, Zen regards Mahākāśyapa as its first patriarch and interprets the transmission of the robe and bowl as a transmission of mind, a direct seeing into the nature of reality. Here, the robe and bowl cease to be physical objects. They become the capacity to look straight into one's own mind without relying on concepts. The river of the true Dharma never runs dry. When the Buddha entered final nirvana, Mahākāśyapa did not weep. He simply said, "Dharma does not perish. Only the deluded think the Dharma has perished." He withdrew to the mountain and entered deep absorption, not to vanish, but to show that truth does not depend on form. And when the world grows weary of its own desires, Maitreya will appear like spring returning after a long winter. From the light of Śākyamuni, through the flame of Mahakashyapa, to the lotus of Maitreya, this lineage continues flowing within the consciousness of humankind. Not only in temples, not only in scriptures, but in any heart that seeks truth, lives with integrity, and keeps itself pure amid the storms of ambition. Anyone who upholds virtue, cultivates meditation, and opens the heart of compassion is already receiving this invisible robe and bowl. The robe is no longer a piece of cloth. The bowl is no longer a vessel. The robe is humility and purity in each life choice. The bowl is the capacity to receive every circumstance with a mind of equality and non-discrimination. When a person lives in this way, even if they have never been to Mount Kukutapada, never seen Śākyamuni, never heard of Mahākāśyapa or Maitreya, in the subtle dimension of reality, they still belong to the river of the true Dharma. For the Dharma is not in the past nor in the future. The Dharma is wherever purity of heart remains. This is the greatest secret of the Buddha's robe and bowl transmission. Not a secret buried in the depths of a mountain, but a secret already present in the way we live each day.